Good morning. Welcome to Creative Living Fellowship pre-service meditation. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. My name is Rhonda Emmerich, and I am a licensed practitioner with Creative Living Fellowship. Let's get started with our meditation. We can get comfortable in our seats, closing our eyes, and taking a nice deep breath. And we can slowly release that breath. And as we're releasing that breath, we start to release all the tension in our body, releasing all the things that do not serve us at this moment. And another deep breath. And we slowly release that breath again. And just focus this moment on the things that we want to create in our lives. Relationships, good health, the perfect job, whatever that is, just focus on that for the next few moments. Focus on it with gratitude that has already happened for us. And again, another deep breath. And slowly release that breath. And imagine in our hearts opening really wide, just being filled with love, filled with gratitude, and opening our minds really wide, opening our minds to possibilities of all the things that we desire, focusing on love, focusing on gratitude. And again, another deep breath, and slowly releasing that breath. We release everything that does not serve us at this very moment and just focus on the things that we want, the things that we desire. Focus on those with love. Focus on them with gratitude, knowing that they're already done for us as we rest in the silence. And as we gently bring our awareness back, we wiggle our fingers and our toes, slowly becoming aware of our surroundings. As we prepare for the service that starts in just a few moments, thank you so much for being with us here this morning. Namaste.
Good morning. Welcome to Creative Living Fellowship's online Sunday service. Please join me for our opening song, Holy, Holy Way.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me know that love is all around me. Oh, let me know that love is all around me. Oh, let me know that love is all around. Let me know that love is all around. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me learn from all the ways I fall. All the ways I fall. Oh, let me know that love will heal us all. Oh, let me walk each day a little wiser. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me share the good that's overflowing. Oh, let me care for those around the world. Oh, let my steps reveal the path of peace. Reveal the path of peace. Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, let me do it.
Well, good morning again. My name is Carrie Sherman. I'm a licensed practitioner here at Creative Living Fellowship, and it is my pleasure and honor. I'm delighted to serve as the host for today's service. Whether you are joining us on Zoom or Facebook or YouTube, it is my pleasure to welcome you here with us today. Creative Living Fellowship is an independent religious science church, and we honor all paths that lead to truth. Our deep intention here is to be a community of love, care, and connection. that opens hearts, expands consciousness, and transforms lives. We do all of that through the principles and practices of the science of mind. The science of mind is a new thought teaching that provides us with the tools for living our best lives right here and right now. We believe that there is one power, one presence, one life in the universe, and that is everywhere present, and that is residing within each one of us. As we become more aware of our connection with this oneness, with this power, with this presence, we are more open at the top, so to speak. We're more aware of the evolutionary improvement of consciousness in all areas of our lives. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, said there is one power in the universe, and I can use it. We all can use it for our good and the good of others. One of the practices that takes us into the silence of our own souls, so to speak, is holding high watch. And that is the practice of sitting in a meditative state, holding a space for perfect unfoldment. And practitioner Jeannie Sovereigns is holding the high watch for us this morning, holding that perfect unfoldment for our service today. And thank you, Jeannie. We're so very grateful for supporting us today and for your service. Our musical inspiration today is Darius Lux. We are so blessed to have him back with us today. And now practitioner and animal chaplain Fran Peck will bring us our opening prayer. That will be followed by a centering moment, and then Fran will be back with the inspirational reading for today. Fran?
Good morning. Thank you, Carrie. So let's take a breath and turn within. Just centering, recognizing that one power, that one presence, that one life that is God. It is love, it is peace, it is joy, and it is harmony. And that life is my life and the life of each of us. And knowing this truth, I bless this service. I bless this time, knowing that it unfolds perfectly, divinely. I bless each person and their service to this community. And I bless each and every member of our congregation, knowing that they receive that for which they have need. I bless Reverend Dr. Sherry and her message, knowing that it is divinely inspired. And I send blessings around our world, praying peace and love and harmony anywhere it is needed. And so in profound gratitude for this knowing, I release my word, knowing that it is already done. And I say, thank you, life. Thank you, God. And so it is. Our reading this morning, Keep Open the Door of Thy Heart from For the Inward Journey by Howard Thurman. Keep open the door of thy heart. It matters not how many doors are closed against thee. There may be no direct and responsible relation between two human beings that can determine their attitude toward each other. We are accustomed to thinking that one person's attitude toward another is a response to an attitude. The formula is very neat. Love begets love, hate begets hate, indifference begets indifference. Often this is true. Again and again, we try to mete out to others what we experience at their hands. There are moments in every person's life when he tries to give as good or as bad as he gets. But this presupposes that the relation between human beings is somehow mechanical, as if each person is utterly and completely separated. This is far from the truth. There is a profound ground of unity that is more pertinent and authentic than all the unilateral dimensions of our lives. This one discovers when he is able to keep open the door of his heart. This is his ultimate responsibility, and it is not dependent upon whether the heart of another is kept open for him. Here is a mystery. If sweeping through the door of my heart, there moves continually a genuine love for you, it bypasses all your hate and all your indifference and gets through to you at the center. You are powerless to do anything about it. You may keep alive in devious ways the fires of your bitter heart, but they cannot get through to me. Underneath the surface of all the tension, something else is at work. It is utterly impossible for you to keep another from loving you. True, you may scorn his love. You may reject it in all ways within your power. You may try to close every opening in your own heart. It will not matter. This is no easy sentimentality, but it is the very essence of the vitality of all being. The word that love is stronger than hate and goes beyond death is the great disclosure to one who has found that when she keeps open the door of her heart, it matters not how many doors are closed against her.
Hey, how's everybody doing out there? It's a pleasure to connect with you some way, somehow. This song is an original song, and it's really just about acceptance and the cycle of things. It's called The World Keeps Turning. Searching for happiness is alright, I guess. You know what I mean. Said you're down inside of us. It's the light in us. We have all we need. So turn on the radio, 'cause we've got too far to go, and the world keeps on turning. Like a river it flows, good and not bad, it comes and goes. The world keeps on turning, and with it our love grows. On and on and on, be in this moment before it's gone. Here we are, another day goes by. We don't even try to ask how or why. What it means to really live this life. If we make a difference, we just lose our innocence. So turn up every radio, 'cause we both already know the world keeps on turning, and like a river it flows. It comes and goes. chance to make better choices. You gotta switch up those voices that are in your head. Don't be scared, just dive in. Be glad you're alive and you're right here, right now, baby. Ooh. Like a river it flows, good and all bad it comes and goes. World keeps on turning, and with it our love grows. On and on and on. World keeps on turning, like a river it flows. Good and the bad, you know it comes and goes. The world keeps on turning, and with it our love grows. On and on and on. Be in this moment before it's gone.
Thank you so much, favorite friend Darius Lux, and welcome back. We're glad to have you here with us again this morning. And I'm glad to have all of you here with us again this morning. Let's just take a breath together as we move into this part of our service. And I'd also like to mention and recognize that this is Pride Month, the month of June. This is a month that we commemorate the Stonewall riots in New York City in 1969, in June 1969. And there have been 3 presidents of the United States who have proclaimed June as Pride Month. It's a month that many events take place to celebrate and recognize the contributions and the impact that LGBTQ persons and people have had on the world and continue to have on the world. And so, and June 28th is actually Pride Day. But I'd just like to recognize that this is Pride Month, and there'll be a lot of events to attend and to take part in if you feel so inclined to do that. So again, let's take a breath together as we move into this part of our service. I'd like to also thank Nicole Jordan for the beautiful job she does with the videos for our music of our Sunday service. Thank you, Nicole, so much. They're absolutely gorgeous, and I just really appreciate it very, very much. This month, we're talking about walking each other home. That's our theme for the month. I love that. I love that idea of walking each other home. Whenever I think of that, I think of walking along with holding hands or joining arms or something, some way that we are being together and walking each other home. And my topic today is open-handed living, open-handed living, open-handed living. And you know, it's pretty hard to walk each other home if our hands are not open. It's pretty hard to walk each other home if we have closed, if our hands are not open, then we're dealing with closed fists. And some people, some writers have described open-handed living as seeking a connection and seeking to engage, seeking to have a willingness to engage others who have ideas that make us move out of our comfort zone. Ideas that make us move out of our comfort zone, but still having a willingness to have interactions with those people, having a willingness to engage those people. And sometimes we find that difficult to do. Sometimes that's really when we want to close our fist. When somebody has an idea or somebody has a way of being in the world or a way of living in the world that really makes us move out of our comfort zone, then we don't want to open our hands. We don't want to have anything to do with them. We don't want to engage. We don't want to connect. And so that's what open-handed living is all about. It's a willingness to let that go. It's a willingness to open up. It's a willingness to listen. It's a willingness to share, not only sharing of our time, but just sharing of ourselves. And when we're talking about walking each other home, we're talking about sharing ourselves with each other, being present to each other, being present and being open to each other. And what that requires is an open heart an open heart. And I love the reading that Fran did today. It's one of my favorite Howard Thurman readings, Keep Open the Door of Thy Heart. And when we keep open the door of our heart, it matters not how many doors are closed against us. It matters not how many hearts are closed against us. Because what I love also is the fact that there's nothing you can do to stop me from loving you. And there's nothing I can do to stop you from loving me. I think that is awesome when we really start to think about it. Then we can start to keep open the door of our hearts and not and know that it doesn't matter whether somebody else's heart is open or not. When we are walking each other home, we aren't looking to get something back. We aren't looking to do tit for tat. We aren't looking to make sure that we're doing things equally. We're just being in that place of unity. We're being in that place of love. We're being in that place of sharing. We're being in that place of caring. We're being in that place of oneness. And as we do this, we can open our hearts, open our hands hearts and hands go hand in hand. We can open our hearts, we can open our hands and trust. Open our hearts, open our hands and trust. And that's what open-handed living requires. It requires us to trust. It requires us to trust not only God, we were talking about trust a couple of weeks ago. Trusting God, yes, always, but it requires us to trust each other. It requires us to trust each other. When we're going to walk through this life together, when we're going to walk each other home, we have to start to trust each other. I don't mean blind trust. I don't mean that you don't trust and verify sometimes. But the trusting is trusting that we are cared for, trusting that we are loved, trusting that the vibration that we carry, the consciousness in which we walk, the consciousness in which we move through this world is a consciousness that goes out and it attracts more of the same. And it helps to change the world. We are beginning to learn to trust. As we trust ourselves to open up, then we can trust others to do the same. We can trust ourselves to be more open and more available and more willing to connect, more willing to share, more willing to be in that place of unity. And that's what service is all about. That's what service is all about, because that's the overarching thing that we're talking about this month is service. And walking each other home is a part of the service that we give to others and that we give to ourselves. Because the more we love each other, we're serving ourselves as well as serving each other and serving everything, serving God. Everything is being served in our ability to move into that place of oneness and unity with each other. And so, as I said, when our hands are open, then service is a part of giving and receiving. When our hands are open, we can give love. We can give whatever gifts we have. We can give whatever it is that we have to share. And when our hands are open, we can also receive. We can also receive. But when our fists are closed, we can't do either one. We can't give or receive when we have closed fists. And so I'm going to ask you today to just really think about how often do you find yourself with your fists, with your hands closed, made into a fist, because when they're not open, then they're made into a fist. So when your hands are closed into a fist, what's going on? What's going on with you? What is it that makes us close off? What is it that makes us shut down? Because that's what it represents when our hands are closed into a fist. We just shut down. What makes us shut down from others? You know, as the song was saying, the world has changed, and it has changed, and it continues to change. And over the past 2 years, the world has, as we have known it, has really changed, and that world has changed forever. And this is a time for us to really, as we start to move back into the world, as we start to move back into what are considered normal activities or activities of daily living, away from isolation and moving back into the mainstream of being with other people and engaging in other activities, then everything has changed. How do we move back in? Do we move back in with anxiety? Do we move back in with fear? Do we move back in with hesitation? But the thing that we have to recognize is that everything has changed. And so we have to really be centered and to see how are we feeling about moving back into this world that has changed? How are we thinking about moving back into this world that has changed? The world, how are we How are we thinking about just meeting people that we've known for a long time? Because we've been so isolated. I've been looking at different stories or different reports about how some people have forgotten how to socialize. Some people have forgotten what it's like to interact with other people, even people they've known for a long time, because we've been isolated. We've been separated from each other. And so coming back together requires us to really be aware of how we are coming back together. How am I being as I come back into this world? How am I being as I come back and move forward in a world that seems so familiar, yet it has changed? Can I do this with open hands? Can I do this with an open heart? Am I doing this with an open heart? Because many people are back out engaging again. Am I doing this with open hands? I think that's the question for us to ask. What is it that's keeping me from keeping my hands open? What is it that I'm fearing? What is it that I'm feeling anxious about? What is it that I'm worrying about? And I think those are the questions that we have to really consider as we walk through this life, as we walk through each and every day. You know, just thinking about our community, we're going to be going back into in-person services within the next few weeks. And everything has changed. Everything has changed. We'll be going to a different place to have services. We will see different people coming. We will have different activities. Everything will be different. So how do we come back in with an open heart? How do we come back in with open hands? How do we come back in with a sense of expectancy? How do we come back in with a sense of joy? How do we come back in wanting to support, wanting to bless each other, which is all a part of open-handed living? How do we come back in with a willingness to share? How do we come back in with the willingness to be at one, with the willingness to connect? How do we do all this? We have to trust. We have to know that in the midst of everything God is, that is the one changeless thing, the presence of God, the love of God, the allness of God. Everything has changed except God. And so that's where our focus has to be in our own lives as we go through our life, as we go through our days, as we go through this time. It's just recognizing that we can trust our source and we can trust ourselves. We can trust ourselves and we can trust each other. And that's the important thing for us to do as we continue to move forward in this life and in this process of walking each other home to unity. And we in this community are about to embark on this opportunity to walk each other home to unity, walk each other home. And when we're doing this open-handed living, we're supporting each other. How can I support you? That's what we're asking when we come in contact with other people. How can I support you? How can I bless you? And asking that question of ourselves, how can I bless this situation? How can I bless this person? How can I support this person? This is what open-handed living is all about. And so I'm inviting you today to really look at how can I move through this life with open-handed living? How can I move through this life with my heart open and my hands open? How can I move in this situation with this person that I don't really know, with this person who is making me with these ideas or these thoughts or these words that are making me feel really uncomfortable because it's outside of my comfort zone? How can I move through this time? How can I move through this time right now? And so what I invite you to do is to just really start off with noticing how you're feeling, noticing when you're closing down, noticing when you're closing your fists, and ask yourself, what is that all about? Why am I closing up in this moment? What is it that I'm afraid of? What is it that I don't want to let go? What is it that I'm trying to hold on to? What is it that I'm trying to hold on to? What is it that I need to let go? And you know, it's so interesting when we start to think about open-handed living and these kinds of questions about letting go, opening your hand. It takes us right into the visioning questions. For those of us who've been doing visioning, who do visioning as a part of your regular spiritual practice, the question always comes up, what do I need to release? What do I need to let go? And because visioning is a process of personal transformation, the answers that you get, no matter what you're visioning for, no matter whether you're visioning for the community, no whether you're visioning for a particular goal, no matter whether you're visioning for your own life, whatever it is, the responses are going to be the same. Whatever you're visioning for, the responses are going to be the same. When the question, what must I release, come up, it'll come up, the same responses come up over and over and over again. And so when we find ourselves with our fists closed, the question has to arise, what do I need to release? What do I need to release? What am I holding on to? And I'll bet you that some of the responses that you have gotten in the visioning process will come up. You recognize that this is what you're holding on to. The very same thing that you've gotten the response that this is what you need to release. You've discovered this is what I'm holding on to. This is what I'm holding on to. And then, when we're holding on with our fists closed, we not only can't release anything, we can't receive anything. We can't give anything with our fists closed, and we can't receive anything. So the question from visioning comes up, what do I need to embrace? What do I need to embrace? What do I need to embrace? And we can't embrace it, whatever it is. We cannot embrace it with a closed fist. We have to embrace with open hands. We have to embrace with open hearts. And so just looking at how all these things intersect, how all these practices that we get involved in, with all these practices and all these things that we know, the principles that we learn in our teaching, as we move through this time, they all dovetail, they all work together. And this is a time for us to recognize oneness again, how we are moving through this life, how we are moving through this time, how we are releasing the things that need to be released, how we are listening to the guidance that we're getting from spirit, how we are opening up to be available, to be used by this power that we can use also. But this power, this one power that we can, in the universe, as Anderson says, that there's a power for good in the universe and we can use it. And we have to open up so that this power can use us also. And this power uses us through our open-handed living. This power uses us through our service. Its power uses us through our willingness to be in unity with each other. This power uses us through our willingness to be those vehicles for its love to be expressed on this plane. And so we have to be mindful as we go along about how we are moving through this world. One thing I think about when it comes to sharing, and I was saying sharing of ourselves, I think about how sometimes we find it so difficult to ask for help. Do you know that asking for help is a part of trusting? Asking for help is a part of sharing ourselves, because we have to trust the other person to ask for help oftentimes. Or we have to admit that there's something that we either cannot do or don't want to do, or whatever the case may be, or something that we need help from somebody else. But asking for help is a part of sharing. Asking for help is a part of open-handed living. Asking for help has been one of the difficult things for me to do in my life, is asking for help. If someone offers help, my immediate response used to be, it isn't so much now, but it used to be, no, I can handle it. No, I can do it myself. No, thank you very much. But asking for help, because not only asking for help with an open hand, but receiving help with an open hand. Receiving help with an open hand. And that takes an open heart. That takes trust to be able to do that, to be able to relinquish control over whatever we think we have control over. I remember some years ago when I had surgery from a fall in the bathtub. I broke my shoulder and on my dominant hand side. And I had to have a lot of help. I required a lot of help because there were a lot of things I could not do for myself, but I tried so desperately to do everything for myself. I didn't want to ask anybody for help. One of the community that I was in at the time, there was a practitioner there who sent out a list to people, just having people sign up to assist me, to support me through this process. And the first day, 23 people signed up to come to my home to support me. And I thought that was just so awesome. I was just so overcome with joy and humility because of that. And I was still wondering, how was I going to let all these people help me? And what could they all do? At the time, I was sharing a house with a friend. And when she would go to work in the mornings, the house was set up so that the living area was upstairs and bedrooms were downstairs. And when she would go to work in the morning, she would put the key to the house under the mat outside. And everybody who was coming in would know that the key, just get the key and they could come in and do whatever they were going to come and do to help me that day. That was quite an experience for me, because sometimes I would wake up and I wouldn't know who was in the house or who had been there, but they had come and they had done all these wonderful things for me. And I was really so moved by that. I really had a different idea about letting people help me, and about the fact that I needed to have the help of other people. And the fact that there were people who were willing to help, there were people who were willing to give, and I had to be willing to receive. I remember one day I decided that I was going to cook breakfast, and with my left hand, and my housemate was sitting in the living room when I went into the kitchen. She said, "Do you want me to fix something for you to eat?" I said, "No, thanks. I can do it myself." And I decided that day that I was going to have scrambled eggs with my left hand. I was going to scramble these eggs. And I went into the kitchen, and when I got everything out of the refrigerator, after I put the eggs on the counter and got the pan out and everything to start to scramble the eggs, I was standing there trying to figure out how to break the eggs and how to do all the things you have to do to scramble the eggs. And I didn't realize she was watching me from the other room. And I dropped a couple of eggs, of course, and they splattered all over everywhere. And I was trying to clean them up, and I was trying to still make sure that I could do these eggs. And finally, she just walked into the kitchen. She said, "Would you like me to help you with this? I can really scramble these eggs for you." And I said, no, I haven't. And she said, "Okay, would you like me to clean up the floor from all the eggs that you've dropped?" And then finally, we both just started to laugh. And I realized that how prideful I was being, how controlling I was being, and how unwilling I was to let her assist me, how unwilling I was to allow her to help. I certainly hadn't been willing to ask for help, but I wasn't willing to receive help. And oftentimes we pray for things, we ask for things, but we aren't willing to receive them because we aren't open to them. So I finally, to end that story, I just said yes. We laughed. I went and sat down, let her clean the kitchen, and then let her scramble the eggs. And I realized that, oh my gosh, that really made no sense at all for me to I could have avoided all that if I just let her help me. This is a part of living open-handedly. When we are willing to allow someone to help us, when we are willing to ask for help, when we are willing to trust enough to know that we don't have to control everything, we don't have to do everything, we don't have to do everything alone, that we can be open and be a part. This is what unity is all about, being open and being a part of, of this life that we are walking through together as we walk each other home. It is so important for us to keep that in mind. So I'm asking you, where is it that you are not asking for help? Where is it that you need help and you don't want to ask? Where is it that you need help and you don't want anyone to know that you need help? How is that working? When you just don't want anyone to know that you need help. I'm learning how to do that better. There are times when I have a gazillion things to do and Nicole will ask if she can help me with that. And my immediate response is to say no. And then I've learned to say, yes, thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much. And I think that as we walk through this life and walking each other home, we have to be willing to know that there are others who are walking us home. It's walking each other home. It's us doing all this together, being in this life together, being willing to open up, being willing to let go, being willing to be vulnerable, being willing to be strong when we can be, being willing to be who we are, and being willing to recognize what we can do and what we can't do. Being willing to recognize those things that are our strong suits and those things that are not our strong suits. I know that my zone of genius does not include technology. And so I I don't pretend that it does. I'm learning as I go along. There are times when I will, back to the asking for help thing, I spent 2 hours night before last trying to figure out how to do something on the computer rather than calling my daughter and asking her, because we are not as friendly when we talk to, when she has to help me with technology. So I didn't want to call her because the first thing she was going to say is Google it. And I had Googled it for I don't know how long, and I still couldn't figure out how to do what it was I was trying to do. And finally, I accidentally clicked on something, and the very thing I was looking for just popped up. And what I was trying to do, this is after 2 hours. And as soon as I finished it, she called me, and I told her what I had been trying to do. And she just kind of chuckled. She didn't say, "Why didn't you call me?" She just chuckled because she realized that I deliberately didn't call her, but it took 2 hours for me to figure out how to do it. That made no sense. I should have just called her anyway. I could have just called her anyway and just been done with it, no matter what she said or no matter how she sighed. But the thing the point that I'm making is that we have to recognize what we can, the things we can do, the things that we're strong in, and the things that we can't do. We have to recognize those things that are ours to do and those things that are not ours to do. All of this is a part of open-handed living because we're willing to recognize what our strong suits are. We're willing to recognize where our weaknesses are. We're willing to recognize that we don't have to control everything. We're willing to recognize that we're in this life together. We're in this life together, and we get to share and we get to support. And just like I can support you, I can allow you to support me. And so I'm inviting you today to look at how can you allow others to support you as you support them. This is what service is about. It isn't a one-way street. It isn't that we're supporting somebody else so that they can support us. It's just that there's a give and take. There's a give and take. There's a togetherness that happens. There's a togetherness that happens as we walk each other home. It's even more than unity. It's even more than unity. There's a oneness that happens as we walk each other home because we're recognizing that presence within each of us. We're recognizing that presence of God is everywhere. It's everywhere present in each one of us. And so that God presence in me is recognizing the God presence in you. And the God presence in you is recognizing the God presence in me. And that one presence is right within us as we walk through this life together, as we walk each other home to peace, as we walk each other home to love, as we walk each other home to oneness, as we walk each other home to wholeness. And so I invite you to really look at open-handed living. When are my hands not open? What's making me not open my hands right now? What's making me not open my hands right now? And then open them. That's the first thing you do. Once you recognize that they're closed, open them. That's the first thing. That's the first step. And once you open them, then you can take a breath, because I bet when we're sitting with our hands closed, our fists closed, we're not breathing. I bet we're holding our breath. We're not breathing fully. And so I'm asking you to pay attention as you walk through this time. Pay attention as you walk through your life. Pay attention as we walk back out into this world in a different kind of way, in this different world that we're walking back out into. Pay attention. And most importantly, making sure that we are always aware of that power and that presence and that love of God that is always guiding us, that is always directing us, that is always showing us the way, that is always right there, right where we are, indwelling us, that it is always being itself in and through and as each one of us. And so as we walk through this world, as we walk each other home, we recognize that power and that presence is in and through, is operating in and through and as whoever it is we're walking with, whoever it is we're encountering, whoever it is we're connecting with. Just recognizing that there is that one life, there is that one power, there is that one presence, and that it can only work through our hands. It can only work through our hands. It can only work through our hands. And so when our hands are closed, we aren't giving that power and that presence the opportunity to walk through our hands. And so what I'm inviting you to do is to keep your hands open. And when we keep our hands open, we keep our hearts open. And it doesn't matter how many closed hearts there are. It doesn't matter how many closed hands there are. It all begins with each one of us. Open-handed living begins with me. Open-handed living begins with you. And so that sharing that we do, that supporting that we do, that loving that we do, that connecting that we do, that walking together that we do begins with me and my willingness to do that. It begins with you and your willingness to do that. And this is how we transform our lives. This is how we transform the world in which we live as we walk through this time with open-handed living, serving the world, serving each other, serving God, and knowing that all indeed is well. And so I invite you right now to keep your hands open, keep your hearts open as we turn within for prayer. So just taking a breath together, just moving into that place of recognizing that one power, that one presence, that one love, that one life, that one mind, that one breath, that one activity that I choose to call God, that one in which I live and move and have my being, that one that lives and moves and has its being in me, knowing that this one is my very life. This one is the life of each one of us here this day. This one is the life and the source of us all. And so just knowing this truth, I speak the word for each of us this day. I speak the word for all of us this day. Just knowing that we each live and move and have our being in God, and we walk forward knowing that God goes before us in each and every moment of each and every day as we walk each other home, guiding and directing our every step, caring for us, loving us, lifting us up, comforting us, knowing that all needs are met in each and every moment of each and every day. All needs are met, no matter what we call those needs, that God is the source, substance, and the supply. The source and the supply, God is. And God is always providing for each of us, always providing, always giving, always healing, always meeting our needs, always showing up as whatever it is we may need at any given moment, at any given day. And so I'm just knowing that body temples are healed. I'm knowing that bodies of affairs are healed. I'm knowing that relationships are healed. I'm knowing that healing is happening in every aspect of our lives as we walk through this time, as we're walking each other home with open hands and open hearts. I'm knowing that there's forgiveness that is happening and compassion that is replacing the resentments and the judgments and all that stuff that we let go as we walk each other home, as we walk through this time, knowing absolutely that God is in the midst of everything, every situation, every circumstance, and that all indeed is well. And so I pause momentarily so that you may speak the names of anyone you'd like held in prayer this day. You may speak their names silently or loud, and you may speak them now. And so for all those whose names were spoken here this day, I know that God is right where each one is, right in the midst of everything that's going on, every situation, every circumstance. God is blessing and keeping each and every one of them. Each and every one of them. This word goes out to anyone who's experiencing loss, the families who are experiencing losses, grieving from violence that's taking place anywhere. The gun violence, the shootings, the war in Ukraine, anywhere there's unrest, anywhere there's chaos, anywhere there's anything that is unlike the love of God. The presence of God is in the midst of every situation, everything that's going on, and all indeed is well. This word goes out to our government officials, just knowing that decisions are being made for the highest and the best, for God is in the midst of the decision making. Decisions are being made for the highest and best of all concern, because we are one people, and this unity is established in the midst of everything that's going on. And so I simply say, thank you, Father, Mother God. Thank you, Father, Mother God. Thank you, Father, Mother God, for everything, for everything. I know that all is well, and I simply allow it to be. And so it is.
Thank you, Reverend Sherry, for those very divinely inspired words today. This is the time that we participate in the divine law of giving and receiving by giving of our tithes and offerings. CLF is a tithing church, and therefore we invite you to participate in this sacred practice by tithing here at CLF. You can click on the donate link on our website, in the comments in Zoom or in Facebook and YouTube. You can also use your smartphone to text to give by using the number 602-610-1868. Whichever method you choose to use to give, we truly appreciate your continued financial support of CLF. And now let us repeat our offering blessing. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God, and so it is. And now it's my pleasure to welcome back Darius Lux with our offering music.
We're definitely living during times where the choice has never been more obvious that we should all be choosing love. Oh, yeah. So many choices in the world today. Too many things can blow your mind. And if you're needing just a simple truth to see you on your way, remember, choose love, choose love, choose love, and keep on shining a light and choose love, choose love, choose love, and keep on shining a light and choose love. Life is a game that we're all free to play. You can hold it down or let it breathe. And if you're looking for a simple song to sing along the way, together choose love, choose love, choose love, and keep on shining a light and choose love, choose love, choose love, and keep on shining a light and choose love. Only love can move mountains, only love can lead the way. Love is always forgiveness, so make that choice right here today. Choose love, choose love, choose love, and keep on shining a light and choose love, choose love, choose love, and keep on shining a light. Choose love, choose love, choose love, and keep on shining the light and choose love, 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 choose love, and keep on shining the light and choose love.
Oh, thank you so much, Darius. It's so great to have you with us today. That was beautiful. Thank you. Well, it's my pleasure to be here with you to bring you your announcements. So let's jump into them. Meditation is a great mindfulness practice that helps us get comfortable with silence. And as we master that still, silent space, we open ourselves up to God. So join us for midday meditation to start or support your meditation practice. Midday meditation is at noon, Monday through Friday. We also hold a 20-minute pre-service meditation on Sundays at 9:35 a.m. Thank you, Rhonda, for today's meditation. Join us for any of these meditations through our Facebook and YouTube live streams or in Zoom. Join Reverend Jorge every Monday evening to explore spiritual practices that apply Sunday messages to the lessons and experiences of your day-to-day life. By increasing our practices, we open up to see beyond our boundaries and self-interest and transform our consciousness to enjoy the union with God and live from that union, or to live open-handed. You can participate in Monday practice with Reverend Jorge through our Facebook and YouTube live streams at 6:30 p.m. Get your community care and connection on with your CLF family and Reverend Sherry every Tuesday as she hosts a Zoom meeting at 6:30 p.m. This week, Reverend Sherry will be leading Conscious Conversation. We look forward to seeing you and connecting with you on Tuesday. Are you experiencing health challenges? Are you recovering from surgery or treatment? Are you struggling with making healthy choices? Well, if your health and wellness are a concern, then you want to sign up today for CLF's Wellness Retreat, Renew to be New, Finding the Balance Within, facilitated by Reverend Christopher Gallagher. This day is divided into two 90-minute sessions. The morning session is a practical workshop where Reverend Christopher will facilitate and teach you medical meditations for self-renewal. You will experience and learn these meditations that bring renewal and healing that you can then also continue to practice at home. In the afternoon session, you will deepen your healing and relaxation with a therapeutic gong bath. Not a literal bath, but you will be immersed in the sacred healing vibrations of the gong, opening and balancing your physical, emotional, and spiritual energies. You can register for either session or for the full day. We do have COVID protocols in effect, which means that social distancing and masks are required. Space is limited to 20 people per session, and pre-registration is required. So make sure to register today and secure your spot. Well, we're nearing the end of the second quarter, and we're looking for more nonprofits to send our next quarter tithes to. So if you have a local nonprofit you would like to nominate, please use the link found in the comments to submit your recommendation. Deadline to make your recommendation for the third quarter is Tuesday, June 21st. Our Sunday prayer room is available to you after service today. Our practitioners are available for one-on-one prayer with you in private breakout rooms. Or you can reach out to one of our on-call practitioners. The list can be found in the comments or on our website under prayer. And you can also email a prayer request to our practitioners at prayer@creativelivingfellowship.com. Upon receipt, our practitioners will pray over your request for 30 days. Remember, you don't need to walk around with a heavy heart. Your practitioners are waiting for the opportunity to serve you in prayer. You just need to ask for help. And after service, we have Sunday fellowship. Join us in Zoom and hang out, discuss the service, and connect with your CLF family. If you're in Zoom with us now, just stay where you're at. If not, you can join us at the end of service. And links for fellowship can be found in the comments, on our website under events, under our Facebook events, or in your weekly newsletter. All those same places, you can find the links for all of our other opportunities to practice and connect. So that's almost it for announcements. It's not really an official announcement. It's just letting you know that we will not have community visioning this month because it falls on next Sunday, which is June 19th, which is Father's Day and Juneteenth. So in recognition of those holidays, we will not be holding visioning. Well, I'm all done. It's time to go back to Reverend Sherry.
Thank you so much, Nicole. And let's take a breath together as we prepare to move out. I just have a couple of reminders and remindments. I have a couple of reminders. Don't forget to use the treatment for supply, which is always my reminder, to refer to the treatment for supply, page 262 of the Science of Mind textbook. And remember that it's our community prayer. And it's a prayer that really, really, really works. So I encourage you to use it twice a day because it really, really works. And my second reminder is always to connect with each other, to remember to call, to text, to send emails, or even to connect in person if that's what you're doing now. But the important thing is to just reach out to say, I love you, I miss you, I'm happy to see you, or I can't wait to see you. And make sure that we are remembering that we are a community and a community of connection. And that's what we're continuing to do with each other. And so I say to you, I love you, I miss you, I can't wait to see you. And so I am glad that you're here with us online today, and we'll see each other very, very soon. Take good care. And right now, here's our closing song. I release and let go.
I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart